Good morning. It is 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. Welcome to For the Health of It. I am Dr. Scott Phillips, local chiropractor, owner of Lifestyle Chiropractic and Wellness Center in the Clock Tower building on Main Street. And it's good to have you this morning. It's a beautiful Thursday. Might be a little cold outside, but the weather is nice. The sky is blue. I have to drive to Vegas next week, so I'm feeling bad because I'm trying to pray for snow now and not next week. But anyway, who knows? We don't really have a whole lot of say over what happens there. So again, welcome to the show this morning. Very excited for what we have to talk about today. Let's go to a couple of events that I know of that are going on here in the next little bit. I know it's been a while since we've talked about some of these things, but for whatever reason, this weekend's a great time to have some healthcare classes. I think we're understanding that the new year is here. People are wanting to make healthy resolutions, and I think there's a lot of support there for you to keep those up if you haven't given up on them already. So first of all, next Thursday, and I do want to announce next Thursday I will not be on the show. I know it's a very sad thing, but try to be happy for the rest of this show today. But I won't be here next Thursday morning. I'll be at a convention in Vegas, like I say, and then we'll be back with you the week after in February. But next Thursday, because you'll miss this, don't miss this class at Real Foods Market. We're calling it Healthy, Happy You. The speaker is Cindy Key, and basically she's going to talk about letting go of all the holiday stress, start the new year out with a happy, healthy you, which doesn't sound too bad. They're going to talk about nutrient-dense foods, herbs and spices, some of these kind of natural things to do to kind of kick up your energy and decrease your stress. And she's going to bring 2 gift baskets valued at $100 each, plus samples for everyone who attends. So, I mean, for a free class on Thursday at 6:30 at the Real Foods Market here in town, I don't think you can go wrong. So make sure you put that on your calendar next week. Also, one of my previous guests and hopefully future guests, Cassie Coulomb, is going to teach a class. She's a health coach, and she's teaching a class that is basically called Creating an Open Space for More Beauty, which I don't know if I can get any more beauty. I think I'm about maxed out in that department, but maybe she's still got tips for me too. But basically that's going to be on January 28th, which is next Wednesday. Also at 6:30, and that's at her house, which I should have just said an address, not said it's her house. So maybe instead, why don't you go to her website, creatingyourbalance.com, and look for that class. Again, next Wednesday, 6:30. There is a cost for the class. It's $10, but not too bad to be able to get some of her expertise. And like I say, she's been on the show before, and we really like her. I think she's got a lot of great things to share with you. The other thing I wanted to announce, obviously last week we had Stephanie Smith on from Studio Body Shop, and they have a class coming up this weekend also. This is one that she even mentioned. And so what we're looking at is, and I'm not going to find it now, and I'm going to be really mad at myself. Let's see here. I know it's this weekend. It's Friday and Saturday. And there it is. Sorry, phew. Design Your Life. So again, she talked about it. It's basically something that they're going to talk about really all aspects of health. It's a couple of day kind of workshop, and it starts tomorrow, which is Friday, at 5:30 p.m. there. That's at Studio Body Shop. I don't have a cost on here yet, but if you want more information, go check out their Facebook page at Studio Body Shop for sure. And that address is 34 West, 200 South, over there kind of behind Chick's Cafe. So like I say, a lot of really interesting and fun ways to kind of jumpstart this year, get as healthy as you can be. Really, really good things going on. Let's jump into the article that I talked about. Actually, beforehand, because I have my guests in the studio already, I'd like to announce them and introduce them just for a second so they don't feel timid about talking already. Because we'll talk about these little things, but you guys are working around sick people all the time. So this will be a good article for you to chime in on. So let's bring in Jenny Dorsey and Nann Worel from the People's Health Clinic. I got to make sure I've got the right microphones on here for you. And just go ahead and tell everybody hi for a second.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. Good morning, Scott.
We are very excited to have you on. I'm excited to kind of talk a little bit more about the People's Health Clinic, what services you guys offer, and obviously how you can help us here in Wasatch County. I know the building is located in Summit County, barely. It's not very far into Summit County, but I'm not sure of everybody that knows the services, know what they can do, not just as patients, but also as helpers and volunteers. And so we're going to go into a lot of that, and it's going to be a really fun hour. But let's talk about these 8 foods that can help prevent the flu, which is way easier to say than flu-fighting foods. So if you want something really challenging to do today, let's get you saying flu-fighting foods as fast as possible. But it's a great time of year. Obviously, this strain of the flu has come out to be exceptionally virulent, which is always exciting. And I know there are some of you out there who have already probably experienced it, maybe some of you who will. So let's talk about some of the foods that you can eat. We won't talk about the ones you can avoid. We've had plenty of shows about that. But let's talk about some of these good things you can do to kind of boost your immune system, help fight the flu. The first one they talk about is, this is from foxnews.com, by the way. Very unbiased website, of course. No, I do find that in health that they are a little more. Anyway, I hope that didn't just turn off half of you. At any rate, Greek yogurt is the first one they talk about. Now, the reason they bring up Greek yogurt is for the probiotic content. And for me, obviously, I feel like there are much better foods for probiotics, but sometimes they're not as tasty. So Greek yogurt is a really good way to get probiotics. But they talk a little bit also about sauerkraut. We've talked about kefir and kombucha and some of these other fermented types of foods that have tons and tons of probiotics. Basically what they say is, if we can balance the bacteria in the gut, we actually boost our immune system. And so a lot of people who have trouble with their gut bacteria seem to get sick a lot more often. And so some sort of probiotic is a really, really good idea to boost that immune system. So that's healthy food number 1. Number 2, they decided to bring in chicken noodle soup, which I thought was nice. Says here, Mom was right. Chicken noodle soup has powerful anti-inflammatory properties. Basically, it's going to prevent white blood cells from congregating in your respiratory tract. And so it's going to kind of help keep things around. Plus, it's a great way to get fluids when you're feeling dehydrated. Now, I would caution you about just going out and getting Campbell's, because there's all kinds of other things in there. So if you have a really good homemade chicken noodle soup recipe, that's what I would go for myself. And that's number 2. Again, they say, too, if you're gluten intolerant, which a lot of people seem to be, then obviously instead of noodles, maybe have rice or some quinoa or something in there. Green tea is the third one. And this is interesting. It has a nice long named chemical in there that we're just going to abbreviate and call EGCG, which is actually one of the most powerful known antioxidants. And so green tea is a really good thing to drink because it's going to really boost that antioxidant activity in your body, which again helps you become healthier faster. Number 4, I believe we're on number 4, right? Yes, okay. They don't have them numbered in the article, so so I might get a little confused.
Keep you on track.
Yeah, okay, good. Nann's going to keep 4 fingers up. Okay, that's assuming I can count fingers. That's the other problem. Whey protein powder. Now, this is for all you gym rats that like to drink your... I don't do a lot of whey protein powder, but here's what they say. Basically, if the whey is processed carefully and at low temperatures, it contains naturally occurring immunoglobulins and lactoferrin, which is lactoferrin is a component of the immune system. And so there's actually immune boosting properties in whey protein, which I didn't know. Obviously, you want to look for high quality products because you want to make sure that those immunoglobulins and lactoferrin are in there. And actually, they'll label that and say it contains those types of things. So that's not a bad reason to get a little more protein there in your diet. Ginger, we all know ginger when we're nauseous, right? That's a really good thing to use. When we're talking about flu, obviously vomiting and nausea and things like that can come with it. So ginger is a really good way to kind of boost that a little bit. So I would definitely say, right, if you have a ginger supplement, or I'm partial to ginger ale, but obviously it's got some other things in there, and not a lot of ginger ale is made from real ginger, so you want to make sure that there's real ginger in what you're eating. But that can kind of help with the nausea. Number 6, I don't know, Nann, are you watching? Okay. Whew. Number 6 is citrus fruits. Now, everybody knows vitamin C, right? That's the big thing. And even though in the literature it's kind of, we know that vitamin C can actually help decrease onset of sickness. But it's actually in the throes of the sickness, does it decrease the lifespan? And that's kind of been debated in the literature. But the doctor here that's talking said, you know what, vitamin C is good anyway. So, so if you have a question, should I eat vitamin C or not? Should I eat foods with vitamin C? The answer should be yes. And of course, we think citrus fruits, that's our big source. But obviously, a lot of green leafy vegetables have a lot of vitamin C in it. Broccoli, the cruciferous vegetables, for sure. Brussels sprouts, which I just hate. I know I don't eat them.
You need a good recipe.
I've tried lots of recipes, but I'm not close to the idea. But I like fruits and vegetables, and Brussels sprouts is just one that we haven't seen eye to eye, to be honest.
Well,
there's always one.
there is always one.
Sardines is the next one, and this is funny because this says, sardines. Now you can see why most people are deficient in vitamin D, because nobody eats sardine. So I'll broaden that scope a little bit. Oily fish is our dietary source of vitamin D. Now, obviously our big source of vitamin D is sunlight. Most of us know that. But here in the winter times, in the flu seasons, that's when we're getting less of the sunlight. And so that's why sardines or oily fish, or I don't know, you won't make a lot of friends eating a lot of sardines. But
Well, and if you put that on pizza, that'll sort of negate.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Cod liver oil is another one, but a lot of times your fish oil supplements will actually come with the vitamin D attached to it. They used to take that out and do the pure fish oil, and then they realized what good the vitamin D can do, and so a lot of your fish oil supplements will keep the vitamin D in it. But basically, it's another immune booster. In fact, it's an essential part of our immune system regulation. There are vitamin D receptors on your immune cells, which I didn't know also. And so as you have vitamin D, fluent into the system, then those immune receptors kind of get turned on with it. And then the last one, it's what's for dinner, friends. It's beef. People say, why would I eat beef to help me fight the flu? Well, zinc is what we're talking about here, and zinc is a really, really good mineral to boost your immune system, and beef is a really good source of zinc. Chicken, lamb, spinach, also sesame seeds, lentils, and chickpeas. So those of you that like hummus and don't like beef, grab your chickpeas. You can get a lot of zinc from that. I have my training. I've always heard, vitamin D definitely, zinc definitely, and vitamin C. Those three have always been my kind of go-to immune booster vitamins and minerals. But this list has a lot of other really good things, and of course, hydration's a big topic. And so, if I had to put a 9th food on there, that doesn't help in saying flu-fighting foods because it's still just 9. But what I would say is drink lots of water, make sure you get a lot of fluids, and definitely try to decrease some of the processed foods, some of the sugars, things like that. That's something that diseases love to eat. And so you're feeding your own cravings, and you're also feeding the flu's cravings. So there are your 8, perhaps 9 foods. Of course, I don't know if water counts as a food. It's not really. You don't get any calories from it, I guess. But those are your ideas. If you're in the throngs of sickness right now, it's not a bad idea to push some of those things. If you're worried about it and want to prevent, then that's another really good idea as to keep those around. So a fun little article there, and hopefully that will help some of you out there get a little bit more protected from this nasty flu going around, which I have not had.
We haven't either.
No, we haven't either.
Good. We're a flu-free zone.
Exactly.
Flu-free
We'll keep it that
zone.
way.
Yeah, if you're out there listening, don't even call in because we don't want to chance it.
Wash our hands.
Wash our hands.
Eat our
and
sauerkraut.
Eat our sauerkraut and sardines.
And sardines.
And Brussels
Boy,
sprouts.
I'll tell you, we will
Yes.
be really popular
Well,
for
you
sure.
know, I remember like my grandmother, and even great grandmother talking about cod
liver oil. Sure.
I guess some of those,
Those
folk
old
remedies
wives'
were,
tales, they come
old
back,
wives'
don't
tale
they?
had a fact.
Yeah, and science catches up with them. It's
Yeah,
funny.
exactly.
Grandma did it without the science. She didn't care.
No.
But now we have the science. Now we say, okay, now you have to.
Good
Now-
for you.
But luckily, because it's become more popular, it's also become a little more palatable.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
We're not just shoving
Yeah.
spoonfuls of not very good tasting cod liver oil down our
Exactly.
throats. I actually tasted a fish oil that was key lime pie flavored, if you can imagine.
Oh, no, we can't.
Yeah,
Did it
as
hide
strange.
it?
It
Did it hide
it
it?
really tasted quite good.
Ah,
I didn't start drinking the bottle. Don't get me wrong. But it really was. I was impressed. It was also like neon yellow. So I was like, is this going to give me special
Okay.
powers too? Like, what's
Oh,
going on
darn.
here? Yeah, I got a little concerned,
my
to be
goodness.
really, really honest. But so let's talk People's Health Clinic. We are celebrating our 15-year anniversary.
Can you believe
It's
it?
hard to believe.
That is a long time.
And we've come a long way in these 15 years, let me tell you.
So again, Nann, Worel, and Jenny Dorsey. Now tell us, kind of introduce yourselves one by one, and tell us what it is that you do for the health clinic, and kind of why it is you got involved, even, and maybe some kind of, I don't know, inspire us this morning with some cool story that you've been involved with that clinic.
You know, every day I hear amazing stories. I'm Nann, and I'm the executive director of the clinic. I've been there almost 7 years, which is really hard to believe. And during those 7 years, I have seen a lot of growth in the number of patients that the clinic has seen every year, but I also hear amazing stories.
Sure.
Like one of my very favorites is we had a gentleman that came in for a checkup or whatever, and it turned out that he'd had a hearing loss he had an injury on the job, and he'd been without hearing for about 18 months.
Wow.
And the medical provider that saw him figured out that it was something that was relatively easy to fix. And so he had a surgery, and when he came out of the recovery room and his wife was standing there, the first sound that he heard in over a year and a half was his wife saying, "I love you."
Wow.
And that's why we do what we do
That
every
is
day.
amazing.
Yeah.
And just a simple routine checkup. He goes in, and the doctor says, "Hey, this is easier than you might think."
Exactly. You know, he hadn't had any access to the resources
Right,
to
sure.
make that surgery happen.
Sure.
So that's why we're there.
I love that, Nann. Thank you. And Jenny, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, Jenny Dorsey, and I've been with the clinic, I think I'm going on 5 years now, and I'm the fundraising director.
All right.
So I'm always...
You put the fun in
I
fundraising.
put the fun in fundraising. We have a lot of events and out there raising money for the clinic, and in fact, we're really excited. Heber City and Wasatch County are both supporters of the clinic, and if anyone's listening, thank you very much. We appreciate it so much.
Good. I'm glad we do that. We've seen the health clinic in our parades. We've seen all kinds of different places, so it's really neat to see you guys out there again. I guess I should bring my own personal bias to the
Yes,
table.
Please do.
Please.
I am a volunteer there myself. I've been doing that for coming on 5 years myself, even. And I can definitely echo what Nann said about just really seeing that. And again, as a chiropractor, it's a little bit different. So this is one thing I definitely want to discuss a little bit as far as when we talk about the services offered there at the clinic. It's not some, just strictly medical. It's a very integrated, it's a very holistic type of a practice that anybody can benefit from. And so I've been volunteering there. I really, really enjoy it. I've seen really neat things, and we've been able to help people that otherwise wouldn't have really good access to some of these different services.
Exactly.
And so I've really enjoyed it. And so that's, again, like I say, it's a personal bias to bring you on here and talk about it because I've seen such cool things there. So let's go kind of maybe history of it again because we're celebrating an anniversary. You haven't been in your current building for the whole time.
No, we have not. In 1999, Father Bob, who was the priest at St. Mary's Church, noticed that there was a lot of folks that didn't seem to have health care. And so he rounded up some friends, and they did a health fair on a Saturday, and over 700 people showed up.
Wow.
Because they hadn't had care. And so from that, the clinic was born, and through a grant with the George and Dolores Eccles Foundation, a van was purchased, a medical van.
And that was our first, that was the first
It
place.
was, and it had 2 exam rooms in it, and
Wow.
Dr. John Hanrahan, who is still one of our providers.
Yeah, he is.
talks about he would get behind the wheel, drive it into a parking lot where they were going to see patients, put the chocks under the wheel, get out, see patients, get back in, drive it away.
Fantastic.
And it was an all-volunteer model. Basic care was provided in that van. They didn't have much access to labs or diagnostic testing or anything like that. So, pretty much sore throats and that type of thing were able to be treated. And then the demand for the clinic grew bigger, and people would literally stand out in the parking lot in the snow waiting to be seen.
Wow.
And so then they would pull up in front of a church or someplace where people could go
They
inside.
could wait inside, sure.
Both in Summit and Wasatch Counties.
Right.
And then it grew to the point where it needed more of a permanent facility. So it relocated onto Iron Horse Drive. And because it was kind of in an industrial, semi-light industrial area, they could only see patients in the evening.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that was like 5 to 7,
Yeah.
couple nights a week, people would be seen. From there, the clinic moved over to the yard before it became Blind Dog in the Boneyard on Kearns Boulevard. And they built out about 1,000 square feet for the clinic. Because it was a temporary kind of space, the exam room walls didn't go to the ceiling, so that was a challenge in terms of patient privacy.
Don't talk too loud.
Exactly. So then we decided we'd play music in the waiting room.
Oh,
so
that's smart.
Well,
there you
then
go.
you couldn't hear in the exam room, so it was kind of like, okay, who do we not want to hear today?
Not walls up to the ceiling. Listen.
So then in late 2009, through a collaboration with Summit County Health Department and Intermountain Health Care, the clinic was located in the brand new Summit County Health Building.
Yeah.
We have a 5,000 square foot, absolutely beautiful facility.
Now, you've paid for the building already, haven't you?
We have, and that's such a great story.
I love this story.
It is.
We have a 40-year lease on the building for $1 a year.
Yeah.
And I have prepaid that
And you
lease.
prepaid the whole 40 years.
But, what's really cool about that is that within a couple weeks after we moved in to that building, I got a call from a preschool that had 3- and 4-year-olds, and they had been collecting coins for the last year.
Yeah.
And so the director wanted to know if she could bring the kids over, and they came over, and they were just adorable. They were into the day. They were so dirty from being outside playing. I mean, it was wonderful. And they had these Ziploc bags full of coins that they had collected all year. Well, it turns out that they had collected $40.03.
Wow.
And so those 3- and 4-year-olds paid
the
years
lease of the
rent
building for
the
40
clinic.
years.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's just
$40.03.
That's it. That's how grassroots.
Now, what'd you do
we
with
are.
the other 3 cents?
Well, we put that into general operations.
Oh, that's a sound investment for
Yes,
sure.
indeed.
You didn't take anyone out to dinner for that. Now let's be real clear about what it is, the mission statement, kind of what it is, and who you service, and all that kind of stuff. Because again, this is like you say, it's mostly volunteer as far as the provider goes. It's a volunteer clinic, and the idea is to service people that are uninsured.
Correct. Totally uninsured.
Totally uninsured.
That includes no Medicaid, no Medicare, no CHIP. So these are people, and last year we had little over 9,400 patient visits just in 2014.
Wow.
A quarter of those patients live in Wasatch County.
Okay.
And so we service only Summit and Wasatch County. The
Yep.
only criteria for care is that you live in that service area and are able to show a proof of a physical address there.
Right.
As well as have no form of health insurance. And
Sure.
that's it. We are a safety net clinic. We want to make sure that the workforce and the community is able to stay healthy and on the job
Right.
and productive. And so there is no charge at all for our services. We do ask for a donation, and those patient donations help us, but no one is ever turned away if
Right.
they don't care to donate or aren't able to donate.
And so, someone, let's say you're afraid that you have strep, and you're thinking, sheesh, well, if I go to the, after hours clinic, it's going to cost me a lot of money
Or
if
the
I don't have any
emergency room,
insurance.
which we
Emergency
wanna
room
do.
even more.
Right, yeah.
And so this is someone they can, now it's an appointment clinic, isn't it?
It is.
And so you call up and you make an appointment. You say, hey, I just need to get something checked out. And they check you out and give you a yes or a no.
Yeah.
If you've got some money to donate, great. And if you don't, then you're not turned away.
That's fine too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do primary care just like any other family practice does. We do a lot of chronic illness care.
Sure.
many times people that don't have insurance, because they've delayed going to the doctor for so long because of the costs involved, by the time they get to our clinic, they're sicker than somebody that would have had ongoing care.
Yeah, because they're waiting.
They are.
You're
They
right.
are waiting for,
who knows what.
whatever, and just put it off until they're so sick they can't go to work.
Right.
So we do primary care, chronic illness care. We have pediatrics. We do women's health. We do a lot of women's health. We have about 150 prenatal patients under our care at any given time. And then we also have a lot of specialists that come in, such as yourself, which is awesome. So we're able to have chiropractors. We have acupuncturists that work with us, naturopathic, homeopathic. We have a homeopathic psychologist. We have mental health providers that volunteer their services.
Good.
So it's really wonderful to be able to, we have kind of a bullpen where the providers go in and kind of exchange ideas about patient care.
Right,
and so it's really cool to be able to walk in and you might have a board certified endocrinologist in there talking with a naturopathic doctor, as well as a pharmacist and a nutritionist about what's the best approach for this patient. And you just don't get to see that a lot in private practices.
No, for sure. And that's almost where I think it's really such a great clinic. I mean, one of the best, forget about insurance, no insurance, whatever it is. I mean, the type of care that people are going to receive when they go there is almost more and almost better than just your regular run-of-the-mill clinic, I think. But again,
because
again,
of
I'm
the
biased.
multidisciplinary, multidisciplinary approach is fabulous.
And I was excited that, two years ago we added dental?
Yes.
So for our existing patients, and as I learned, because I only work in a clinic, I am not a doctor, but I learned how much, if you have bad oral health and dental problems, how that can affect you from your head to your toe.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so we have a dentist that comes in on a regular basis, and it's just amazing, the care and what we've seen in the improvement in the health of those patients.
Yeah, it really is a whole body approach, and I think that's something that people listening need to appreciate, that it's not just a, file them in, file them out, what's your symptoms, let's get you on to the next person. It really is this, people are cared for, people are treated, people are referred, people are made sure that, hey, when you leave, we put our stamp on quality type of care, for sure.
And because we don't have to, have a certain number of patients every hour for billing purposes, because we don't bill insurances. Many times our providers are able to spend more time with a patient than if they were in a private practice, which is exciting for our patients.
Yeah. Yeah, so we mentioned all these. Again, I wanted to also give a plug for Krista Clark's a physical therapist. I've had her on the show just recently, actually, and she's over there volunteering too, and so kind of brings this other, kind of holistic type of PT practice. I mean, it's like I say, anybody, whatever you're looking for, I feel like you guys have done a good job of making sure that it's there, and so someone can come in and say, hey, I don't know if I buy into that or buy into this, but there's going to be someone there that can take care of that person and make sure. And they're good quality provider. You met your Dr. Hanrahan. I mean, he's a pillar in the community in Park City, and anyone would be lucky to see him in any venue. And so to be able to get that kind of care and not have to pay for it. And so, again, as we talk and as we go through this and talk about things you guys want to talk about, I just hope everybody realizes that it really is this awesome, like you say, safety net type of clinic. Don't sit there and wait. If you don't have insurance and you're just worried about your health, there's no sense in hoping that your arm doesn't fall off. Go and get checked out. Let's talk about where you guys are again, just to make sure that people know.
We're at Quinns Junction. We're on the campus of Intermountain Healthcare. So if you were to take US 40 and then take the Park City exit, as soon as you head into Park City, the first stoplight, the movie studio's being built on the left.
That's true.
And then that's quite the landmark.
Man.
You take the first right.
And there you kind of wind up a little bit around, and there you are, just like you say, in the Summit County Health Department kind of shares the area there too. Park City Hospital is a little bit farther down the road, and then when you're done there, if you want to do a skate there at the
You can-
the ice rink. You can go do that.
It's all in one.
And so that's where it is. And tell me hours of operation too, just so people can know that.
We're open 12 hours a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 in the morning till 8 at night. Many of our patients work 2 to 3 jobs, and
Right.
we don't want them to have to take time away from their work to be able to come for their doctor's appointment. And so, we do 8 a.m. appointments, and we also, I think our last patient comes in around 7:30.
Yeah.
So it gives people variety.
And one thing I do want to say is we're not an urgent or emergency care
Right.
clinic. So,
So if your arm is close
if
to
your
falling off.
arm is close to falling off, please go.
Please
Go to the emergency room.
Yeah, definitely.
But otherwise, call for an appointment. And I want to encourage, if you haven't ever been to our clinic, stop in. I am there Monday. Well, Mondays we don't see patients, but I am there. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm happy to give a little tour and show you what kind of facilities we have. Nann's
Sure.
talked, and you, Scott, have talked about how great they are, but sometimes seeing is believing.
Definitely, and I think that's a great invitation. I mean, go up and check the place out. It's a really great facility. I mean, just state of the art. Everything
is.
there is. I didn't know the story about the van, and so that's a fun thing to learn today. And see, man, from where we were to where you guys are now,
and
is just
we were talking about the van, and what I think is cool is that tradition of medical care, and the people who started it is continuing, because this van is still in operation in Mexico,
Really?
servicing and providing health care
That's
to people
amazing.
there. So, yeah.
It's probably worth noting also that the exam room ceiling or the walls do go to the ceiling
in this
now,
building. Yes,
and
they
there
do.
are doors.
and even doors. So that's,
we don't have to play
so
that
we don't
safe
want
for that.
to get people intimidated. It is
No,
like
no.
I mean it's
perfect, all private.
if somebody walked in there and think, oh, this is a doctor's office. I mean that's a really nice one.
We're frequently told that this is nicer by our volunteers.
Yeah.
It's nicer than my
Hey, this is
doctor's office.
my clinic. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to start running private hours out of here. Is that okay?
There you got it.
Definitely.
I
Good.
think one of the things that, we've talked some about the volunteers, but we have a small core paid staff. And
Sure.
that just ensures that we can do continuity of care for our patients.
Well, and that's the thing is there's those paid positions are there's a lot more than goes in it than I'm there once a month, or I'd lest anyone out there think that I'm leaving work at 6 and every single day going up to,
Yeah.
I mean I do one once a month, which I
Which is
probably
fabulous.
could do more.
Fabulous.
But these, like you say, some of these paid positions, they have to be there. They have to be, like you say, the continuity care is very important
Because
for
our
sure.
patients tend to be pretty complex. So we have about 150 volunteers that
Wow.
work with us, and those range from healthcare providers to phlebotomists to people who help take blood pressure and
Blood
vital
pressure,
signs.
vital-
Yeah.
We also have people that help with clerical. We have people that help with fundraising. So whatever your skill is, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, so tell me, someone out there saying, man, I just feel like I should volunteer. I think that's we talk about wintertime and lack of vitamin D. People start to get a little depressed, right?
Sure.
This is a real
Yeah.
seasonal type of thing.
Yeah.
And my cure for depression always is quit thinking about your own sad life and go start helping other people.
Yeah.
Well,
And this could be a really great opportunity. So I guess that's just kind of what I would say is someone out there's like saying, yeah, but I'm not a medically trained person.
That's okay.
So
Yeah.
so there are places for everybody, you would say.
Yeah, and I think a really good example of that is that a year ago during the holiday season, I was at a social event and was talking to 3 women there who were really looking for a new volunteer opportunity that would they felt like would make an impact on someone's life.
Sure.
And so none of them are medically trained, but we have a very, as I said, robust women's health program. We have grant funding for screening mammograms for
Wow.
uninsured women. And so those 3 volunteers have kind of revamped our mammogram program and making sure that once someone has their breast exam and is given a voucher for their mammogram, they actually follow through and go get it.
Right.
And so these women have been great about calling the patients and encouraging them, say, you were given a voucher for your mammogram 3 months ago and you haven't
Yeah.
used it. And, even offering to drive them over there if that's what it's going to take to get them to get their screening mammogram.
Sure.
And because of their efforts, 2 of our patients were diagnosed with breast cancer last year.
Wow.
So So it doesn't matter if you have a medical background or not, you still can make a real impact in
If you have a
people's
voice
lives.
that you can talk on the phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. What a great story that way also.
Well, and if people are interested in volunteering, they can go to our website, peopleshealthclinic.org, and there is a little tab up at the top that says volunteer, and it talks about, the services we provide. There's a form that you can fill out, or you can call the clinic and talk to our wonderful volunteer coordinator. And like Nann said, there's something for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and really I think, again, if you can find a worthy cause, and there are lots of worthy causes to volunteer to.
Yeah.
But man, if you had a few hours a week or a few hours a month even, to be able to go up there and help and to kind of put your own voice in this cause, it's no mistake, or it's no secret to anybody, especially people that are interested in this show and what we talk about on here, that healthcare is an issue. And I think the more excuses we have to not work on ourselves, to not make sure that we're healthy, the easier it is to just sit by and kind of just hope. And I think that's one of the worst things that we can do, is just kind of ignore signs and just hope everything's good. But I think finances can be a really, really big issue in seeking medical care. And like you say, a lot of these people that are working 2 or 3 jobs, they're not at one long enough, or the jobs are such that they don't offer the benefits, and they go to the private sector and try to find, but some of those are so pricey.
What we're finding is, and I really want to make a big push for the enrollment in the insurance marketplace, because the marketplace does close February 15th.
Yes.
And so if you're thinking about looking into insurance, this is the time to do it, because after February 15th, then you won't be able to until the next enrollment period opens.
Right.
So our clinic is collaborating with several different agencies, and representatives from the Utah Health Policy Project are coming up. We have a enrollment navigator and an enrollment specialist that's coming to the clinic and spending an hour with folks to help them just explore what their options are in terms of insurance. Are they Medicaid eligible? Are they eligible for a subsidy within the insurance marketplace? Right. And so if they just want to call, people just want to call the clinic at 435-333-1850, they can make an appointment and come in and spend an hour, as I say, exploring what their options are.
And just kind of see what they can do. Again, I had an insurance guy on here not too long ago. We were talking about it kind of when the open enrollment period opened, and he was kind of talking the same thing, that everybody's sort of, right, Obamacare is almost this bad word that we don't like to say, and that name that shall not be named or whatever. And we just think, oh, well, I've heard that so-and-so's went up and it's more expensive, and so when I've looked, I don't even want to look because it'll probably be, and we just kind of make these assumptions. When it's not very hard to get. So now if you try to navigate the page yourself, sometimes that can be very frustrating. And so I think it's a great idea to use some of these resources and say, hey, let's go to the clinic and let's see what these options are.
Our goal in life is to not have the clinic exist because everybody has insurance, has access to the care they need. Unfortunately, that's not the reality right now.
Right.
In looking at numbers from enrollment in Utah, the Health Policy Project is reporting that 106 Utahns have been, 106,000 Utahns have enrolled.
Good.
Through the marketplace. What's interesting is that a third of those people that have enrolled are between the ages of 18 and 34, which is the highest in the nation. The highest percentage in the nation.
Way to go us.
Yeah, exactly. Get those young people enrolled.
I think I'm still in that age range. Did you say till 34?
Till 34.
I did it.
All right. You're a statistic.
Barely. And so that's a great resource. And I guess that's another thing I wanted to just even ask you about is how do you expect that kind of to change? Obviously, we would love to say, hey, it's mandated now, and so everyone's going to get health insurance, and champagne will rain from the sky. But that's not going to happen.
Sadly, it's not.
But do you anticipate, because you've obviously grown, I feel like, every single year, and tell me the number again of patient visits last year.
A little over 9,400.
Yeah, 94. I mean, it's a great number.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't see 9,400 in the van.
No. They saw 700.
Yeah, exactly. And so I wonder, and I guess maybe in the kind of planning sessions of what's going, do you anticipate a drop in visits, still a growth, because we're still going to get more information out there, and I'm sure there are uninsured people that are not going to the clinic right now.
Oh, exactly.
That may stay uninsured and then decide that hopefully through some of these means of figuring out what's going on up there that they actually still use it.
Yeah.
But what's your outlook there as far as now people really pushing to try to get health insurance?
We really thought that we would see a drop in patient visits in 2014.
Yeah.
Because we made a big push when the marketplace opened last November, in terms of enrollment. We have someone on staff that helps with Medicaid enrollment year round.
Yeah.
And so we always, anybody that we can possibly enroll in anything, we want to help them make that possible for them. In 2013, we had 9,462 patient visits.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, we had 9,432 patient visits. So we didn't see the drop
So there was
that we
not
were
the
hoping
drop.
for
Sure.
during that time period. What's interesting is that 99% of our patients earn less than 200% of the federal poverty level.
Wow.
And over half of them earn less than 100% of the federal poverty level, so they're not required to have the insurance.
Right.
And within the Affordable Care Act legislation, there are all sorts of hardship exemptions, which many of our patients have experienced. For example, if you've had a utility cut off within a certain period of time, if you've gone through a divorce, gone through, all sorts of life events, then you can apply for a hardship exemption, and you're not required to have
And then you're
insurance.
not required to have it. Mm-hmm. And I assume hopefully these people that are helping kind of navigate through those things know all that kind of stuff.
They do. And they're
are probably
great at
really
that.
good to.
And that's what, when I've talked to some people who've come and talked to these navigators, they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know what my options were. And they're learning that, what the fees are, if they can qualify, if they don't qualify, and then they can learn about other alternatives. And so, if you're educated on what options are out there, you can make a knowledgeable decision for you and your family.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Nann.
Oh, it's a pretty intimidating process.
For sure.
Just to think, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to healthcare.gov and have to be put on hold or get cut off a lot of times.
Yeah.
And Medicaid and CHIP is a pretty intimidating process to walk through. So between our staff person that helps with the Medicaid CHIP and then the enrollment specialists that come up, it's just a great resource to be able to figure out, okay, what am I eligible for, and can I afford that?
Well, and I told Mike Hewlett when he was on talking about the insurance that I was surprised at how affordable it was for me in my position. And I think there are a lot of self-employed people out there that are just nervous about getting it, and they're worried about it, and they don't fall into some of these hardships. And they just think, oh, well, I'll just take the hit when it comes. But there's really no need to do something like that when you haven't even investigated. And like I say, when I looked into it, I thought, well, this is what I want, and it's a price that I can afford. And so, I'd like to be one of those statistics of the 18 through 34.
Yeah, you're covered. Great.
I think people listening hopefully really understand that not just through volunteer support, not just through going and using the clinic, but there are ways financially too. To support, and
there are definitely ways.
Jenny here is our fundraiser director.
I am happy to take a credit card number
exactly.
Checks,
even bags of coins.
Yes, bags of coins. There are, there are a lot of ways. We about 18% of our income comes from events and fundraising, and so we do several fundraisers a year. We have one that the Silver Queen Derby, which is a women's only luncheon, and it started out as just promoting our women's health program and getting women involved, because you could have knocked me over with a feather when I found out that Summit County has the highest incidence of breast cancer in the state of Utah, followed by Wasatch County.
We're 1 and 2, really.
We're 1 and 2, and that is not something I think we should be very...
No, that's not a list that you want to top.
That is not a list we want to be on.
Wow.
And so when we heard that, as Nann said, we have a lot of support from Susan G. Komen, but we still have to provide not just the mammograms, but women exams.
Yeah.
So that was how that event got started. So you can come and attend. It's going to be May 2nd. It's a great way to support the clinic. We also have a fundraiser in August called Healthy Laughs. And that's putting
the one
fun
that's great. Yeah, in fundraising.
And we bring in nationally known comedians, and thanks to our sponsors, that is totally underwritten. And so every dollar from ticket prices goes to supporting the clinic and providing health care. And then we have a lot of other events, but people are, come by and see the clinic, and I guarantee I won't put a super hard sell on you, but I would
bring a checkbook.
Bring a checkbook.
Or a bag of coins.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, Nann, that kind of leads into, some people are ask about if we're federally funded.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And the answer is absolutely not.
Yeah.
We're not eligible for any federal funding because we're not in a medically underserved area. There's federally designated underserved areas,
right.
and we're not in one. Only in the area of mental health are we designated as medically underserved. So we rely on the local community. We have a small grant from the state of Utah, and then we rely on local municipalities like Heber and Wasatch County, as well as Summit County. Park City Municipal Corporation is a great friend of the clinic and a great sponsor of ours. But the rest comes from individual donors, it comes from events, and it comes from patient donations. The patient donations add up, and they make up about 15% of our annual budget.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and what is that, about 81, 82%? Patients donate towards their care, because as Nann said, we ask for a donation, but nobody's turned away. But it is, as Nann has said in the past, having a little skin in the game helps. We want, in addition to providing all this health care, we help educate and encourage our patients to take control and responsibility. And I think once they find out that the People's Health Clinic is there, it does help them take a little more responsibility and help them move forward with a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think really it's not that people don't have a dollar to put towards their health care. It's just, it gets so overwhelming sometimes when you think, I've paid cash a lot of my life for a lot of health services and it frustrates me sometimes because I feel like I've paid the bill and then I get 6 different bills in the mail. And so it's very intimidating to think, well, is it, what I pay when I go there, is that all it's going to be? And so it's nice for someone that doesn't have medical insurance to say, when I go, I can donate some money, and I know I'm not going to get other bills in the mail.
Exactly.
And I think that's great. And I think when people put that value on it, like you say, when they know, hey, I'm going to put something towards it, then they see the fruits of that, and they see what they get out of it, and what they get out of it really is fantastic care.
It is, and I think you raise a good point. Those additional bills, and Nann can speak more to our referral services, but if something does happen and you do need further care, we also have a referral specialist to help you help that patient get whatever additional care they might need.
Right.
And so, like we've said, full service. You're gonna you're gonna get the help that you need.
No, really, there is really something for everybody. I love that chiropractors go. I'm not the only chiropractor that volunteers. I love that acupuncturists. There just really is every type of service you can think of to really attack the health issues from so many different sources. And again, I think it's a good blueprint for any type of medical office, insurance or non, because at the center of it and at the core of it is the patient's well-being and the patient's health. Instead of hoping, we'll do this procedure because it's covered by insurance and do this procedure because it's covered by insurance. The Medicare did a big audit about procedures and how many of them were just for billing insurance purposes, and they came up with, and this was providers across the board, this wasn't just medical doctors, this was anyone that took Medicare, and they came up with like an 80% number of how many procedures were just to bill insurance companies.
That's amazing.
80%. It's a crazy number. And so I love the fact that you can go into the People's Health Clinic and know that everything that they're doing is for your benefit, right? Because they're not billing any insurance.
We're not.
Yeah.
They're not going behind anyone's back and
Yeah,
billing
we're not
insurance
sending out
companies.
bills.
And so, again, a great model for, I think, how healthcare can be run, whether you take insurance or not, but then it becomes this really neat addition to the community. And I think Summit County for sure knows about it. Like you say, 3/4 of the people that are coming are from that area. And I don't know if it's and maybe this is something we can brainstorm. I don't know if it's a education issue, I don't think it's because you're in Summit County, because really you're not that far
We're
away.
just right. In fact, that area was annexed into Summit County when the hospital was built. So we are
Oh, I didn't even know
we're
that.
brand new. in
So you're
Summit
literally
County. Yeah.
And so how do we get the word out? What are the things that just generally we can do and say, look, this is a resource for people?
Our biggest source of referral is word of mouth. Our
Yeah.
patients tell one another about it. But this morning is so invaluable to us as a clinic because you're giving us an opportunity to share with your listening audience the services that are available
Good.
through the clinic. So
Definitely.
we are available, any opportunity, any group that would like a speaker. We
Sure.
have PowerPoints we can bring if you want a
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
yeah.
And that. But, the clinic is here for both counties. And there's a similar clinic in Salt Lake that has a 7-month wait for new patients.
7 months.
7-month
Yeah.
wait for new patients. We generally can get a new patient in within a week.
Wow.
And so we had a lot of folks that live outside of our service area trying to access our services. And we really feel a responsibility to our donors
Right.
that provide funds for us to serve Summit and Wasatch Counties,
Right.
that we are true to our mission. And so that's why we require a proof of physical address that
Sure.
you truly do live in our service
No,
area.
that makes sense for sure. Maybe that'll drive people to move up here anyway and say,
There you
"Sheesh,
go.
Well,
there's
yeah.
not
Well, we
enough
were at the
waiting
Heber
lists."
Chamber Luncheon. What was that, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
And wow, go Heber!
Yeah, yeah.
And,
There were
it's
there are a lot of people there.
This is a really growing and beautiful valley.
Sure.
And if you live here and you don't have health insurance, we're here for you. And as well as one of the other things we've talked about referrals, but we also partner, and we have a great relationship with our Summit County Health, but also Wasatch County Health Department.
Sure.
So we all work together to help keep our community healthy.
Yeah, and you mentioned the poverty aspect. I know there's a lot of people. Funny story with my son. He's in school, and they do a really good job with some of the school kids of sending them home with some food and things like that. And my son got really mad one day because one of his friends gets to take food home from school. And he did. He's like, "That's not fair." And I'm like, "Okay, we got to have a conversation."
Yeah.
And figure out why that is. And so I think it'd be great. I don't know if you've ever been into the schools or been able to make presentations there, but I think
Yes.
that would be a really great place to.
We do come down in the fall. Our community outreach coordinator. We've been in Midway and Heber Elementary,
yeah.
but it bears repeating, and we need to. We'll be there more often.
Well, and anybody out there listening that knows someone that would benefit from this type of thing, I mean, it's just such an easy, like you say, an easy thing, a phone call to make. Hopefully within a week you've got an appointment. You can go get checked out. You can go get your kids checked out. If you qualify for some of these services, maybe that you've been nervous about trying to get into, a Medicaid or a CHIP, or you just don't know how to do that, there are people there that are going to help you navigate that. And I mean, if you do qualify for Medicaid, what a great service that can be.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, instead of just hoping that your health is good and not really doing anything proactively to do that, as far as getting checked out and all those kinds of things, I think you got to take some of these steps, because you can't just leave it to chance.
No, you can't.
You can.
And man, especially with the incidence of breast cancer in these counties, that is amazing.
I couldn't believe it.
Huh.
So.
We have funding from Susan G. Komen, as well as the local Playing for Life Foundation,
Oh, cool.
for screening mammograms for our patients, as well as diagnostic if something is seen in the screening
Right.
that needs further follow-up.
Right, and then we
So,
can kind of check that out.
Yeah.
Our time gets short, obviously, and it's funny how an hour goes by, but you have pregnancy services,
We do.
which I think is amazing,
Yeah.
right? Because I think quality prenatal care is very, very important for sure. So tell me, again, I know it's easier from what I've heard when you are pregnant, the Medicaid becomes easier, but again, it's not a given.
There's emergency Medicaid, and our patients qualify for emergency Medicaid. So one of our staff member that I mentioned that helps people with Medicaid enrollment walks every one of our prenatal patients through the emergency Medicaid process, and they start that at about 34 to 35 weeks, so that at the time of delivery, it's seamless. It's already in place when they show up in labor, and they don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for this?
How's this going to get paid for?
So then with emergency Medicaid, the labor and delivery as well as the baby are covered.
Wow.
And we also offer prenatal education. And one of the things that I also love as part of that education component is we have another partner, one of them, Promontory Kids Cabin, has made little book bags. And every patient gets a book so that they can start building their children's library.
Cool.
We all feel part of, health is being literate and learning to read, and so many of these kids, this is where they get their first book and start building their children's library, and we encourage moms to read to their children. And
and education, that's the other definitely thing I want to talk about is there are classes that you teach, there are things I know I've seen some of those events, so tell me where we can go. Is that on the website as far as knowing where all the events are and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, www.peopleshealthclinic.org.
.org.
Yes.
And you'll see the nice logo.
You'll see our nice logo.
Maybe a picture of you guys somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, maybe.
I think somewhere in there.
You can find it.
But it lists our services. It lists ways that you can become involved. If you want to volunteer or donate, or
volunteering, donating, all that information.
Becoming a patient. Yeah.
Go check the website. There's a Facebook page. Go like the
Facebook page.
Facebook
There is a Facebook page. Please like that Facebook page.
And it's kept up with really nicely.
We are working on it. We also do Instagram and sometimes Twitter. Social media is.
And this show will come out, and it'll be on a little link, and hopefully then on the Facebook page we can throw that on there.
That would be fabulous.
That
would be awesome.
We would love that. So we have a volunteer that keeps up with our social media.
Because I got through without cussing, and so now we can actually, I don't have to try to find a way to edit that out.
No.
We won't offend people who listen
I hope
to
not. I hope not.
Ladies, thank you so much for being on.
Having us.
What a great morning to talk about this kind of thing. Again, it's the new year. We're making resolutions. We want to be healthier. If you haven't been to the doctor forever because you're worried about cost and all that kind of stuff, you don't have the insurance, this is such a great resource. We are thankful for it as a community, and hopefully we can continue to support it until that day that everyone is insured.
We're waiting for that day.
And then we can do something else at the building. I don't know what, but something fun.
Something fun. So don't forget to call 333-1850 to make an appointment.
That's right, because if you show up and the doors are locked, it's
That's right, or to make an appointment for the counseling.
Right, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 8.
Right.
Perfect. Everybody out there, thanks for listening to the show. Again, I think just a super important topic, and I'm glad you guys came on to talk about it. Let's support that clinic. Let's be healthy. If we do it for no other reason, let's do it just for the health of it. Thank you for listening.